Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the Heroes units that have been announced for, obviously, the Heroes celebration. A bit strange this year, they obviously released a whole bunch of EZAs and events quite a while before the Heroes units, which I don't think has happened before, but this is also the first joint one, so yeah, it is what it is. Starting with one of the main headliners and the big boy Super Saiyan God SS Goku Universe Tree Power. This guy is the head honcho of Heroes pretty much. Honestly, if I'm being real, I think a little bit disappointing. Dragon Ball Heroes Kameha Power Beyond Super Saiyan category lead of 170%, with an additional HP attack and defense of 30% for characters who belong to crossover. Super Saiyan, Shocking Speed, Warrior Gods, Godly Power, Prepare for Battle, Fierce Battle, and Kameha are his link set. And really, honestly, on that basis, not bad. A good link set, good lead. Dragon Ball Heroes, Kameha, PBS, all really solid. Obviously, the 30% for crossover is kind of mandatory for a Heroes unit. The passive is where things get very interesting. So it's obviously always, I really like this new format they have, but he activates the entrance animation upon his entry once only, has defense of 200%, and launches an additional super attack for 4 turns from the character's entry turn. So then we can go ahead to the rest of the passive. Ki +2, attack and defense of 150%, an additional attack of 150% when attacking, and additional defense of 40% with each attack performed up to 200%. He launches an additional attack that has a great chance of becoming a super attack, and randomly changes key spheres of a certain type of strength excluded to strength key spheres when there are 3 or more crossover category allies, or an ally whose name includes Xeno on the team. Interesting. He gets an additional attack of 50% for the rest of the battle, and great chance of guarding all attacks within the same turn with 3 or more key spheres, an additional 100% attack for the rest of the battle, and guards all attacks within the same turn with 5 or more key spheres, and then an additional attack of 150% for the rest of the battle, with 7 or more key spheres obtained, and an additional damage reduction of 40% when guard is activated. So, 200% baseline defense for the first 4 turns, additional super attacks, Ki +2, attack and defense of 150%, an additional 150% when attacking, and defense +40% for each attack performed up to 200%. This is good because it should multiply nicely into his defense, pushing him hopefully to some pretty decent base defense turn stats. Launches an additional attack that has a great chance of becoming a super attack, and randomly changes key spheres of a certain type to strength. This is the big thing here, because basically he's heavily reliant on these orbs to obtain his guard, and his guard obviously is mandatory to obtain his 40% damage reduction. Now, if Goku can get to around 600, 700k defense, whilst having guard, whilst having 40% damage reduction, then he is quite tanky. Like, he will actually be really quite tanky, because the guard plus the 40% damage reduction plus baseline good defensive stats means that he can be really, really solid. Obviously, the guard pretty much is based on 5 or more key spheres. So what we need to consider really is getting 5 key spheres, which is super duper important. So really that orb changing is super important. I think if you can do that, he can be very good. I think, without judging him too much on like the basis of paper alone, I think he can be good. As long as he can get that guard activated, I think he'll be really solid. He obviously has guaranteed crits with his active skill. He also has the ability to increase his defense even further, and this is all more than fine. Lots of categories, which I think is really, really good, but only raising attack and defense 1 turn, which I think is a bit of a shame. Not saying he needed raising defense permanently, but we'll have to see. He's one of those units where I think on paper he does look a little bit disappointing, but I think in practice he should come out pretty good. At least for me, I think he should come out really, really good. And he has built-in medium chance for crits, which is not bad, 30%. So you can really build him that full, kind of additional evasion build, I guess, overall. For me, Goku, not bad. One of those units I'm going to have to see in paper. The Super Heroes or Dragon Ball Heroes team desperately needs a super good long-form tank. So we're going to have to see if Goku can carry it. Then we have Fu Youth, the Dogidogi, fully absorbed, whatever the hell that is. Dark barrier that isolates all. So this is a Fu unit, 130% time traveler's lead, very interesting, 130% sub lead, very strange. Demonic power, Brainiacs, Core Judgment, Big Bad Bosses, Godly Power, Fear and Faith, and Fierce Battle. Great link set. Obviously going to link well with a bunch of other Fus, and just in general, like Dragon Ball Heroes Extreme units. Key plus 2, attack and defense of 150% with an additional attack and defense of 50%, and transform a crit plus 20% per crossover or time traveler's category ally attacking in the same turn. And it doesn't state exclusive of him, so it should count him as well, I believe. Plus an additional attack and defense of 100% when performing a super attack, of course. Launches an additional attack, there's a high chance of becoming a super attack. Launches another additional attack, there's a great chance of becoming a super attack. And reduces damage by 20% when there's another extreme class ally attacking the same turn. When there's a super class enemy, chance of performing a crit plus 20% up to 40%. And damage reduced by 20% up to 40% within the same turn with each super attack performed. High chance of changing all key spheres to AGL and tech key spheres starting from the 5th turn from battle. So a very good second slot unit. Shouldn't really be a surprise to anyone that they are busting out a whole bunch of great second slot units. And Fu is definitely one of them. By my estimate, after 2 super attacks, he should have guaranteed crits. He's a full additional kind of unit, and I think that's not surprising to anyone. Time Travelers, Realm of the Gods, Transformation Boost, Youth, Dragon Ball Heroes, Battle of Wits, Power Absorption, Crossover, Accelerated Battle, decent categories. And he greatly raises attack whilst greatly raising defense for 1 turn with a high chance of stunning, and I think he's great offensively. Huge crit, good orb changer that obviously is one of those really solid units. And AJ on tech is great for Mecha Deborah, who is also really good, but not really a first slot tank, so we're going to have to see how that collides with Fu. Then we have Aeos. So this is Space-Time Selector, Aeos. I actually have no idea who this person is in the Dragon Ball Heroes anime, and I usually know at least who they are. Telekinesis, more than meets the eye, solid support, cold judgment, master of magic, godly power, fierce battle, and attack and defense of 120%, an additional defense of 120% when receiving an attack, an additional defense of 120% when there's another crossover category ally attacking the same turn, and when receiving an attack, plus an additional 120%. So a lot of defense multiplier raises when receiving an attack, which is very interesting. All enemies attack and defense of minus 24%, medium chance of stunning all enemies at the start turn, high chance of evading the enemy's attack, plus an additional chance of evading the enemy's attack plus 7% within the same turn, and an additional attack of 60% up to 240% for each attack evaded. Or allies key plus 2, attack and defense of 40%, plus an additional key plus 1 attack and defense of 24% for crossover category allies, recovers 24% HP at the end of the turn. So an interesting unit here. Let's break it down to the segments. So 120% baseline defense when receiving an attack, 120%, an additional 120% if there's a crossover category ally, and plus an additional 120% defense when receiving an attack. So basically, if you have a crossover category ally, you are getting another 240 separate instances, so it's more like another 288% on top of the 120% that you're getting on top of the 120%. So it's something like a 700% defense unit once receiving an attack, which is very interesting. High chance of evasion, so 50%, additional 10% with each within the same turn, and an additional attack of 60% with each attack evaded. So basically, by my estimate, a unit you're going to want to build full evasion style unit that's going to basically be a pseudo tank support for the heroes category, which I think is more than fine and definitely what they need. So if he, she, they, this card can be as good as it looks, I think it could be a very good floating support tank, really good evasion based tank for the team, and it is what they need. Like, they really, really, really need an evasion-based tank. So having something like that, especially the evil side of the crossover team, very, very important, because that allows you to set up for Fu, that allows you to set up for units like Super Hearts, it allows you to set up for a lot of units which I think is really important. Raises attack and defense and steals super attack. So Aeos looks pretty good. Food looks a good second slot. Goku could be amazing. It's just very orb dependent. We'll have to see how he plays. But yeah, so far not bad. Dark King Demigra, Power of Time Unleashed. So another extreme unit. They went really heavy on the extremes this year. Brainiacs, Big Bird Bosses, Revival, Master Magic, Godly Power, Fear and Faith, and Fierce Battle. A decent link set. Again, nothing too bad. All the extreme units have nice link sets and link up well amongst each other as well. Demonic Power Lead, which is also interesting. Key +2, attack and defense of 240%, and additional attack and defense of 120% when performing a super, high chance of performing a crit. Damage reduction of 40%, and additional damage reduction of 20% when there's another crossover with Demonic Power category ally in the same turn. Plus an additional damage reduction of 20% before attacking when all allies attacking the same turn are extreme class. So 80% damage reduction, really, really good. Before super, which is really impressive. So 80% damage reduction, very tanky. Then you're getting that big multiplier when performing a super, so losing that 20% isn't terrible. An additional attack and defense of 120% is the first attacker in the turn, so you're getting that back. And all extreme class allies get 6% attack and more crit chance if he's the second or third attacker. Honestly, for me, him and Aeos, perfect first slot, differing types of tanks for this team. So I think both of them are excellent. One's an evasion support based unit, one is a very tanky first slot unit. I think it's really, really well done how they've done the two of these units. Obviously not on a lot of categories, but really, really nice. We'll have to see what his defensive stats end up looking like, but he also increases extreme class allies defense for one turn. So I think this Demigra is really, really solid. Like, I think Demigra is actually probably the best unit out of the batch. At least for me personally. I think so. Just looks really, really good. And then we have the last one. This is the Warrior in Black Super Saiyan Dark Dragon Ball Boost. Very interesting name again. But yeah. Super Saiyan's category, 130%. Saiyan Warrior Race, Super Saiyan, Experienced Fighter, Saiyan Lineage, Saiyan Pride. Prepare for battle and fierce battle. I think this is like a Vegeta. I think this is Vegeta, or it's Goku. It's like a unit, anyway. So, in terms of passive here, again, a really big one. Key +2, attacking defense of 150%. Medium chance of performing a crit, and an additional 100% attacking defense when attacking. Yeah, there we go. Plus an additional attack of 150%. And the chance of performing a crit plus 30% when attacking if the enemy's HP is 70% or less. Plus an additional attack of 150% and chance of performing a crit when HP is 40% or less. Plus an additional 50%. Launches a guaranteed additional attack when the enemy is in attack down, defense down, stunned, or sealed. Damage reduction of 40% and additional damage reduction of 15% within the same turn before attacking an enemy whose HP is 70% or less. An additional 15% damage reduction within the same turn before attacking an enemy whose HP is 40% or less. Plus an additional attacking defense of 100% and launches an additional super attack for the rest of the battle after delivering a final blow. So, honestly, like, a bit of a weird one. Units that tend to scale stronger when the enemy gets weaker aren't always people's favorite types of units. There's a couple of reasons for this. The main reason for this, realistically, is just that a lot of the times units get stronger as fights go on, right? This is a natural progression for a lot of units. So having units that start off really, really strong or good at this one certain thing tends to be more helpful than units that tend to just scale massively upwards as the enemy hits certain thresholds. For example, this guy having 70% damage reduction means a lot less when the enemy's at 40% health, because most of the time that means you're usually on top of the battle. Whereas like him having 70% damage reduction in the beginning of the fight usually helps a lot more than when it scales down. Sometimes, depends on the fight. But I think overall he's not bad. I think he looks very interesting. Another unit we're going to have to see in action before we're able to really decipher just how good he is. But yeah, overall, the heroes units, I'm going to be honest, look pretty interesting. I think Aeos looks really good. Demigra looks really good. Goku looks like he could be very good, just a little bit dependent. And then, yeah, but that's really it for me. Honestly, really interesting matchup units. Super excited to see just how good they're going to be. But that's it for me. See you guys in the next one. Bye.